To solve this problem, all we can simply do, we have root x and root x that is common here. Since we know that there's a minus in this square root, recall that I, which is imaginary number, is the same thing as the square root of minus 1. All right, that is what it means. So in place of this, we can rewrite this as the square root of x plus the square root of minus 1 times the square root of x is equal to 12. In place of minus 1, we're going to put I. So this becomes the square root of x plus I square root of x. You see? In place of minus 1, we're putting in that, and then we'll get 12. So what you want to do is to bring out square root of x from this expression. When we do that, we can factorize, we can bring out the square root of x, and we'll be left with 1 plus I, okay, equal to 12. What we can simply do is to divide both sides by the coefficient of the square root of x, which is 1 plus I. And when we do that, we're going to be left with 1 plus I on this side, and then 1 plus I on this side. So when we do this, this cancels out this. We are left with the square root of x is equal to 12 over 1 plus I. What you can do in this case now, we can multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the denominator. So we will multiply by 1 minus the square root of I over 1 minus the square root of I. So when you expand this, you're going to get root x is equal to 12, all right, bracket 1 minus I. When we expand the bottom, 1 times 1 gives us 1, all right. This is just by difference of 2 square. We're going to get 1 minus I plus I, then we have a minus I squared, all right. And when we expand this, we can now see that this becomes 12 bracket 1 minus I all over. I and I cancels out here, and we are left with 1 minus, when you square I, you get minus 1 times this, you get 1 plus 1, which is 2. So from here, we just get 6. So we get that the square root of x is equal to 6 bracket 1 minus I. All right. Now, what do we do to get the value of x? We take the square of both sides. Take the square of both sides, and when we take the square, this is what we get, the square root of x squared, and then 6 bracket 1 minus I, everything squared. The square cancels out the square root, and we are left with x on this side. We've gotten the value of x. All we have to do is to break it down even further. So to square this side of the equation, we get 6 squared gives us 36. That's 6 times 6, and then we have 1 minus this squared, which is in 2 places. Okay, so let's open this bracket. So we get 36 bracket. Let's open this, when we expand this bracket, we get 1 minus I, okay. Then we have a plus I squared, okay. When you have minus I times minus I gives you plus I squared, okay. And then this gives us 36, and then we have 1 minus 2I. I squared is going to give us minus 1, and then we are left with 32 bracket 1 cancels out 1, and then we're left with minus 2I. So finally, we have that x is equal to minus 72I. That's our final answer. There are 2 values for x because of the square root. So if one is minus 72I, the second solution is going to be plus 72I. So these are the values of x for this expression. Okay, thank you for checking out the video, and I'll see you in the next one.